Hi, and welcome to Narcissistic Abuse Recovery Collaborators, home to NARC troopers. If you like today's episode, check out my website at narctroopers.com. You're going to find 275 podcasts on my podcast channel, almost 300 articles, mostly housed on medium.com, and the YouTube channel, and all other assortments of resources to help you on your recovery journey. Today we're going to talk about the Challenger Deep versus the shiny surface water. You know, life is a deep dive beyond the shallow and into the mysterious depths. But life with a narcissist is more like tsunami or hurricane, tornado, cyclone. Yeah, that's a water tornado, right? A cyclone. Um, all right, so let's think about this. The surface of the ocean is beautiful, and the way that it can hold the light and shimmer in the sun is unparalleled. But it's also dependent on so many factors, and it can quickly become dark and menacing when the skies turn gray and the fog rolls in. I live I'm touching San Francisco, so it's practically, might as well say it's San Francisco, only though I don't live in San Francisco because that would be kind of scary, I think. But I live like on the beach south of there, and I can tell you that there's always fog. Well, not always, but a lot of fog, mist blowing like watery sand that comes into your face. Um, and so that's, and it changes on a dime. We have microclimates here where I live, so you can drive just a couple of minutes. Temperature changes 15, 20 degrees. It can be raining and foggy in one spot, 5 minutes to a different spot, sun is shining. It's pretty weird. So the ocean is like that, right? And the skies can turn gray very quickly. It's great for, a picture or a picnic, but, it is just a superficial reflection, really, and nothing more to a lot of people. The deepest part of the ocean is called the Challenger Deep, and it's located beneath the western Pacific Ocean in the southern end of the Mariana Trench, which runs several hundred kilometers southwest of the United States territorial island of Guam. Challenger Deep is approximately 10,935 meters, which is equivalent to um, 35,876 feet deep. It's that deep, really deep, near Guam. It's called the Challenger Deep. So, unlike the surface of the water, the surface, you dive into the depths and you will see the ocean comes to life, and it becomes the powerful force that it is. It's only when you go beneath the surface that you can see true beauty and also the terrors of the deep, mysteries, wonders, and endless miles of teeming life span the globe, comprising an astounding 71% of the Earth's surface. It's a lot, right? There is magic and a primordial timelessness about the deep sea that piques curiosity and holds interest. Mermaids, leviathans, and monsters of the sea cannot be proved or disproved, since more than 80% of the ocean remains uncharted territory. That's mind-boggling in light of all of the stuff that we can do, and yet 80% of the ocean is uncharted territory. It's unmapped. It's never has been witnessed or explored. Um, and so imagine this. We know more about planets millions of miles away than we know about our own oceans. It's a mysterious thing, a powerful thing, um, to think about that. Okay, so, and here is what I will assert, my claim now, that the human heart is like the mysterious oceans that surround us, except in the case of certain disordered people, namely, the narcissist, and maybe psychopaths or people with ASPD, antisocial personality disorder. They resemble that sparkling surface and nothing more. Yeah, I think that that's a good analogy. I love a good analogy. And I think that's a good analogy, that they do not have all of the depth of all of those feet, all of those meters, down or anything. They are surface only. Um, so in theory, while they are made up of the same molecules, atoms, and energy as you and I, they are not the same. One is actually the ocean, and the other is just the appearance of the ocean, just the surface, the top of it, um, of what it could be, should be, might be, but it's really not. I mean, I guess it is, but let's just stretch our minds for a minute and think about that the surface does not comprise or contain all of the ocean. It's just the skimming, it's like the top, it's like that little skin on the pudding. Maybe that's a terrible analogy, but well, it's the first thing that popped in my mind. It's the skin on the pudding. That's the narcissist. Okay, so there is a scene in one of my favorite fluffy movies from the 90s, titled My Best Friend's Wedding, with Julia Roberts, and she confronts the perfect Cameron Diaz, who she's attempting to convince her that she is a better fit for the person that the Cameron Diaz character is getting ready to marry. That she's a better fit for her fiance than she is, and she says, "What if what he really wants is Jello?" It's familiar, comforting, simple. You are creme brulee. What if he needs Jello? Isn't that a great argument? I love that part of the movie. And she says, I could be Jello. And Julia Roberts says, you could never be Jello. You can never be Jello. And she says, I have to be Jello. I I have to be if that's what he needs. You're never gonna be that, says Julia Roberts. And they go on and on. Great movie. If you haven't seen it, My Best Friend's Wedding. Anyway, that's kind of how it is. The narcissist is never gonna be more than that surface water, the skin on the pudding, this reflective pool. It's filled with piranhas and sharks and other monsters of the deep, right? Um, they're never going to be more than that because they're superficial. They have no substance. They are empty and hollow, and shallow. So shallow, they're just the surface only, and they reflect the sky. I've noticed that here where I live, since I live just about 3 minutes from the ocean. When the sky is gray, the water is gray, or you can't see it at all because of the fog. When the sky is blue, the water is blue. So whatever's going on up here is reflected down there. And it's kind of that way with the narcissist. whatever's reflected into that surface is what they reflect back to you. Blue, gray, every shade in between. Um, Maybe even sparkling and stuff, but dangerous. So, between 1597 and 1599, the Italian artist Michelangelo, um, wait, is it Michelangelo? Yeah, and Caravaggio. They were painting um, different things about um, about reflecting pools and water. I don't know how to explain this, but let's focus on Michelangelo Merici de Caravaggio. He composed oil on canvas painting of a young man staring deeply into a pool of water as he leans into it. What's going on? Is he trying to take a drink of water? No, no, no. You know where I'm going. He is falling in love with his own reflection. This is probably, okay. Let me just backtrack just 1 second. um, I'm trying to think of other artists besides Caravaggio who painted the Narcissist, the mythological story of, Narcissus. Because I know that there were several. It wasn't just Caravaggio. There were numerous people who did it, but I think his is the most famous painting of this subject. And people with NPD should be able to relate to that painting, and we should be able to relate to that after being paired with these people for some indeterminate period of time. People with NPD may seem intelligent, knowledgeable, creative, insightful, dynamic, and all of that. They may present with the appearance of great depth, but it is an illusion. It is definitely an illusion. It's not real. Um, during the 15 plus years of marriage that I had to a covert somatic narcissist, I witnessed examples of what I thought was brilliance and insight. I watched him dazzle people with, his strange brand of insight and understandings beyond, what I think he even understood himself. But none of these qualities belong to him. Not really. They were all bits and pieces, torn scraps of bloody hearts and broken pairings, couplings, relationships crafted um, together, kind of like smushed together with Gorilla Glue or something to create a false persona, a facade, a mask from all of the different victims and people that he had encountered. He took parts of them and sort of made what was that stuff called where you took all the little torn things and decoupage, was that it? It was like you put varnish on it and put it on a table, and it was like all like you would tear up like 100 photographs or pieces from magazines or something, and then lay them on the table and then varnish over them. I think that's what it was called. It's kind of a potpourri, an amalgamation. What is another synonym? Kind of a hodgepodge mishmash of different things. That's exactly what they are. They're decoupage. They're a mishmash of different things all just jumbled together like a collage. There's another way to describe them. They are a collage of pieces of all the people they've met. They take parts of those people and then they put it on themselves, and it just kind of like sticks to them and becomes their fake skin or something. It's really disturbing. um, and so, what do I want to say? You know, they're, um, it creates a skin suit. I didn't want to say that. I don't like that word. It is evocative of a really just disgusting image, but that is what it is. So let's just let's just say that they tear off pieces of other people and pathetically build this skin suit. And then he artfully crafted a false persona from all of these people to present himself as this combination of all the people that got too close and trusted his boyish smile and his shy green eyes and those little dimples, because a lot of narcissists aren't violent and angry and fussy, and they never even ever show that at all. They're very subdued and shy and soft spoken and oh, so deadly, right? Oh, so deadly. So, how does one acquire genuine depth and substance? Let's think about that for a second. How does one acquire genuine depth and substance? Years of life experience shape us into who we become. Our ability to approach others with authenticity, vulnerability, and a growth mindset enables us to have emotional cathexis or intimacy, followed by self reflection and accountability for our part in all of the things that we have experienced and the choices that we have made to get to that place, including accountability for all of our missteps and mistakes that we make along the way. We own them, and we're like, "Wow, I that didn't go well. I made a really bad decision there. I'm going to really try hard not to repeat that one." So, how do we discern those who are real people from those who are just empty shells masquerading as real people? According to Dr. Vaknin, and I want to say a little sidebar about him. I talked to a person the other day about because I had quoted him, and she kind of questioned that, kind of in a way that I hadn't thought of before. But she said, because I mean, he may be a genius, and he may be the father of NPD and narcissism as we now understand it, with the language in the book and the lectures and all of that. But at the end of the day, he is a narcissist. And I don't know if I can allow myself um, to receive what he has to offer because of his impairment, because he is one of them. It's that whole them versus us. And it is kind of like that. It is us versus people who have that disorder. They're on a whole different other team, whole different other universe, parallel reality, or whatever. They're not part of what we are. And so I can see that. But I just want to say, um, I kind of think of it as like, when you go to AA, who's your sponsor? Who's leading the meeting? It's a person who's a recovering alcoholic themselves, someone who's going through, trying to maintain sobriety. They understand what it feels like. And I have a lot of people I talk to who have different disorders themselves that make them extra special, vulnerable to hooking up with the narcissist types. And that is also a description that has so many common denominators about why they do it, how they do it, how it makes them feel, how it's an addiction, and how it's like a very codependent learned helplessness and all of that stuff. There are just certain things that is just that's the way it is. And I think that Dr. Vaknin, I trust that he's not going to tell me something that's wrong. Um, so if you want to go to the source and get the skinny on things in a kind of academic lecture kind of way, that's going to dig in a little deeper to just, the whole etymology of the disorder and all the different psychological and even philosophical ramifications of that, then I think he's your guy to go to. So anyway, he said something here. He said that the narcissist does not possess real empathy, it is a mere projection of the narcissist or psychopath's own insecurities and fears, needs and wishes, fantasies and priorities. This kind of displayed empathy that you think you're seeing from them, but it's not real empathy, usually vanishes and just disappears the minute its subject ceases to play a role in the narcissist or psychopath's life and in their psychodynamic processes. Because you do play a role. It's like a game, or more accurately, maybe not a game, it's like a play. The narcissist's life is like a theatrical production, maybe even a musical, you know? Um, that's exactly what it is. And that you come on stage and do your part and then you leave. And then somebody else comes in and does their part. And we're just players on the stage with the narcissist. And so he goes on to say cold empathy. This is Dr. Vaknin explaining they can have cold empathy, which evokes the concept of uncanny valley, which was coined in 1970 by the Japanese roboticist. I'm going to mess this up. Um, Masahiro Mori. Masahiro Mori. I think that's right. And Mori suggested that people react positively to androids that are like these human-like robots. They really have um, a lot of the Japanese people have advances, in robotics that we don't have. Our robots look kind of creepy. They look like Star Wars or something. But in Japan, they have skin. Hopefully not real skin, but like synthetic rubber skin or something. And they look very real, so real, it's creepy. And that's what Uncanny Valley is. It's that creep factor that says, there is something not right here. This person is not human. So, how do they differ from real humans in a meaningful and discernible way? But the minute these things, these androids, robot, very real looking humanoids or whatever, they come to resemble humans uncannily, though imperfectly. Human observers tend to experience sort of a mixture of repulsion and revulsion, curiosity and creepy feelings, negative emotions, even fear, because these things are so real looking, but they're not. There's just mechanics on the inside. So I take that whole idea from Dr. Vaknin about, I guess what he's trying to say is that with the narcissist, um, that they can act like they have empathy and concern for others and be so kind and altruistic and compassionate and merciful and yada yada yada, but they are not. It is it's like a program. It's like they've observed, they study people very very carefully, and at the end of all this, they learn from studying you what people do when they're sad, what people do when they feel guilty, how do they look, what do they say, what is their posture, and then they emulate that. So it's very, in a sense, robotic. Like you can feed it information like AI and it's going to learn it and remember it. Because a lot of narcissists are very, very smart. They can remember things, catalog it in their little memory banks of like, what do people do under these circumstances? Oh, here's the facial expression. And oh, this is where you go pat the person and say, oh, it's okay, or whatever, but it's not genuine. They're not feeling anything. And there is sort of an undercurrent, undertone of something creepy there that you can kind of pick up on, but not quite. And you just know something is not right here. It is clear that the narcissist is incapable of genuine emotions, attachment, or even having an identity. These deficits make them not simply shallow or superficial, like the tops of the water and everything, with no true depth, but they're also akin to a mirage. Yes, a mirage. Let's bring that little water feature imagery into the picture. Imagine that. Imagine a mirage. It looks like shimmering, glittery water. And really, they are no more than this shimmering illusion. That is what a mirage is, and that's what a narcissist is. Another analogy for you. So, one of my favorite films in the last few years was the latest remake of A Star is Born. I know, cheesy, but anyway, it was the one with Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga, and they performed Shallow. And these lyrics kind of echoed the idea that relationships with a maladapted, self destructing, disordered person puts both parties in the deep end over their heads, where, the narcissist really, is, they're they take you there to that place, and both are drowning over there out of their depths as one tries to take what they need to survive, and the other tries to just breathe life into them and save them, but yet you're both sort of drowning.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Forget the frustration of picking commerce platforms when you switch your business to Shopify, the global commerce platform that supercharges your selling wherever you sell. With Shopify, you'll harness the same intuitive features, trusted apps, and powerful analytics used by the world's leading brands. Sign up today for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/tech, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/tech.
Another picture for you. So how does it always end? Well, usually they both drown. Remember those song lyrics, "Tell me something, boy. Aren't you tired of trying to fill that void? Or do you need more? Ain't it hard keeping it so hardcore? I'm falling. In all the good times I find myself longing for a change, and in the bad times I fear myself. I'm off the deep end. Watch as I dive in. I'll never meet the ground. Crash through the surface where they can't hurt us. We're far from the shallow now." Well, you can interpret that as you will, but we're talking about being out of your depths, over your head. And when you find yourself ill-equipped to swim to shore after being swept away by this tsunami of seduction, manipulation, parentification, exploitation, objectification, and worse, you surrender and you float in this sea of delusion and derealization. You become disconnected from reality in a dissociative kind of way, just like the narcissist is. It's like mental illness is contagious. Do not think you are impervious and you can be with these people who are not okay and not catch some kind of sickness yourself, because you're going to. That is just how it works. And this shared fantasy that you have with this person is really more like a mutual psychosis, than a shared fantasy. Kind of makes it sound like a fun thing. Well, parts of it are fun, but wow, um, big price to pay. It causes you to surrender yourself to uh, a miasma of cognitive dissonance. I love that word. I love words. I'm an English teacher. How can yeah. Anyway, you surrender to this this miasma of cognitive dissonance. The narcissist alternate reality becomes your new reality as your mind is co-opted into one symbiotic mind meld, one mind, hive mind, with the disordered one. It is if you it is as if you float in utero, in suspension, in a state of dependence, not fully in control of yourself when you're with them. This watery hell can last for decades. I have clients who've been in it almost 30 years. Or maybe the narcissist isn't your partner, maybe it's a parent and you're kind of stuck for life with those. So it could be like a really long time. And they just kind of keep you in suspension, bound and tethered to them, feeding on your own essence, off of your own essence. They just kind of, they grow fat and strong as you are slowly diminished and you're withering. I love that word, withering. That's exactly what happens to you when you're with these people. When you have been completely devoured and subsumed, swallowed up, the narcissist will cut that umbilicus and swim away to the surface where he or she will just shimmer and glow, resplendent with all of your strength and beauty that has been siphoned away from you. And the glitter and sparkle in their shallow emptiness that they have, it's yours that they have because they attach like parasites, and they are, until they get to the next person to do the same thing to them. To distill this conceit, a conceit is an extended metaphor. There will come a time when we will be aborted by the narcissist and must be born into the real world of the living, where the narcissist has no ability to dwell. They can't live there. They are not equipped to do that. We will need to disconnect the cords that bind us and swim to the light, to the surface, and to freedom if we're going to be okay. It will most likely be the hardest thing that you ever have to do. But what other choice do we really have, right? But to do that, if you don't gather the strength and start kicking and moving your arms and legs and managing some kind of upward movement away from the flotsam and jetsam and the detritus of the dead union, you're going to perish. You will, one way or another, if not physically, then in other ways that you won't recover. You're That's it for you. And that does happen. I've seen it happen more than a few times, so it's something that should chill your blood a little bit and motivate you to get far away and stay far away, because it can be very bad. Life may be messy and even ugly and painful at times, but it is life. And the narcissist is not afforded that gift. Not really. They're not really part of the living, are they? So embrace it, claim it, fight for it, and be grateful. Have gratitude, you know, that you are a part of the living, and let the dead go. You know, you have to release them and turn to the light. So, that's it for today, guys. Um, Thank you for joining me and listening to this, and I hope that you got something out of that. Sometimes I like to write things that are kind of prose or something instead of just a factual, didactic, instructional um, article about narcissism, because I uh, fancy myself as a writer, and I like to stretch my muscles and um, and see what I can do with words to try to convey something real and meaningful to you that you can take away, that will embolden you and let you know that you're not alone. You're not alone. There are a lot of people in this world these days that they're going through something very similar to what you're going through in trying to get over what the narcissist did to you. And so I wish you much luck with that, much love, and don't give up. Keep kicking, keep fighting, keep swimming to the surface. Okay, much love. Bye.